Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is how to vet and choose the right contractors for your flip. Let's talk about one of the most pivotal decisions you'll make as a real estate investor, picking the right contractors. The difference between a smooth, profitable flip and a total nightmare comes down to who's swinging that hammer. Too many investors rush this step only to pay for it in blown budgets, missed deadlines, and endless headaches. If you want to level up from rookie mistakes to pro moves, you need a system for finding and vetting the best talent out there. Here are 5 actionable steps to help you choose the right contractors for your flip. Number 1, start with referrals and reviews. Ask fellow investors, your local RIA, or trusted real estate agents for recommendations. Then dig into online reviews, look for consistent praise or red flags on multiple platforms. Number 2, check credentials and insurance. Always verify licenses and insurance. This protects you legally and financially if something goes sideways on your job site. Number 3, interview like a pro. Don't just talk price. Ask about their experience on similar projects, timelines, subcontractors, and how they handle surprises. A solid contractor will be transparent and happy to share. Number 4, inspect past work and call references. Ask to see finished projects in person or through detailed photos. Call at least 3 past clients and ask about quality, communication, and whether they'd hire the contractor again. And number 5, most important, get it all in writing. Never settle for a handshake deal. Nail down every detail in a written contract, including scope of work, payment schedule, timelines, and policies for changes or delays. So remember, the right contractor isn't just a line item on your budget. They're a partner for your success. Take the time to vet thoroughly, trust your gut, and don't be afraid to walk away if something feels off. Protect your investment, your sanity, and your reputation, because that's how true badasses build their real estate empires. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today, we have Lindsay Davis, CEO of Spartan Invest, a national leader in turnkey real estate solutions. Lindsay's team takes care of it all, from sourcing and renovating to renting and managing properties, making it possible for investors to build wealth passively and predictably. With over 50 million in closed deals and more than 2,000 properties under management, Lindsay is passionate about making real estate investing accessible for everyone. She's here to share how anyone can start building generational wealth, no matter their background or experience. We are thrilled to have her on the show, so welcome, Lindsay Davis.
Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
So happy to be here.
And we are East Coasters over here.
Yes.
It's early in the morning. We're both chugging our coffee and
absolutely. It's much needed.
Much needed. But this is such a perfect situation for what's going on in the economy right now. I think
Yes,
everyone should be focused on rentals. I have a property that's been
absolutely.
sitting on the market way too long, and so I'm a little scared to be doing flips at the moment. So I myself am putting all of my focus towards rentals because that's where it's at. So let's get this party started, Lindsay. For the listeners that may be new to the concept, can you break down what turnkey investing really means and how Spartan Invest simplifies the process for them?
Absolutely. And first off, I love your show. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I love what
Thank
you,
you.
all the information that you offer, the due diligence that you push, all of that. It's fantastic to help people avoid the riskiness of real estate investing. And that's kind of what we do as well. I'm in the same business in that we are providing passive turnkey properties. And essentially, what we do is we'll go out and find, we are in, our office is based out of Birmingham, Alabama, but we are in Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. And we'll go out and find properties that meet certain criteria. And I can get into that a little bit later, but we're very specific on what criteria we focus on that we know is going to be a successful rental. We'll go ahead and purchase that property. We're going to go ahead and do all of the renovations. And I can dive into specifics about the renovations if you'd like in just a minute, but we're going to go ahead and handle those renovations. And then once we're done, we're going to pass that property on to our property management company that's in-house. It's also under my management. It's under all of our umbrella of companies. That's Atlas Rental Property. And they're going to go ahead and place a tenant for you. Then that property is sold to an investor client that while it's already cash flowing, and our that property management stays with the investor for the life. So you are dealing with only one company. You've got your one point of contact, et cetera, et cetera. I guess waiting through all of the ups and downs through the management, whether it be in a year, 5 years, 10 years. We're the one stop shop. Our goal is to create mailbox money for investors wanting to get into real estate because there's so many, as you talk about, there's so many different things that you need to know or have an expert to help you in, whether it be sourcing a deal, renovating the property, managing what happens in an eviction, et cetera. So, and we're handling all of that for you.
And I got to tell you, there is a lot to do doing the BRRRR strategy, going through all of that. So, and when you said mailbox money, that's my favorite term, Lindsay,
Yes.
because it's so rare as real estate investors to have it be completely passive. So I love, love, love this concept. So what is your perfect avatar of a person who is probably listening to come and work with you with Spartan Invest?
That's a really great question. And I think it really just depends. Now, our average investor is one that's a W-2 that has another job that's not an active real estate investor. They're not going out and sourcing the deals or managing their own properties. However, they're looking to diversify their portfolio. They see volatility in the stock market. They want consistent income. They are possibly looking to retire. They want to supplement their income so they can start a business, or let's say do a 1031 exchange. We've got a lot of clients that have bought a property in Southern California 20 years ago and it's appreciated through the roof. Now, the cash flow on that particular property is terrible because the rent rate to market value ratio is awful. They can sell that property and then turn around and invest in 5 to 7 properties in the Southeast and then really gain a lot more passive income through that exchange without having the tax liability with the 1031. So our average investor is just really anyone wanting to invest in real estate, diversify their retirement or their just overall investment portfolio without all of the headache. And if you've done a deal, if you've managed one property, if you've managed one tenant, you know exactly what I'm talking about with dealing with the headache. And they're not all headaches. That's not the vast majority are great, but the ones, your minority that fit that box can be very challenging. And so we're here to handle that piece of it. And that's our average investor. And most of the time they are living in areas where your rental property yields are just not where they should be, where the investment is not as sound. And that's where the affordability or the landlord friendliness doesn't necessarily meet the criteria in your California, Hawaii, New York, those type places where it just does not make sense to invest in long-term rental properties.
And I love the markets you're in, by the way, because there's great opportunity there. We have what's called the 1% rule. When people are out there shopping for rentals, you purchase a house and then you want to rent it, and the rent should be at least 1% of that purchase price. Sometimes people add in the repairs in that number as well, but you cannot find anything in the 1% in those that you just mentioned, California, New York, et cetera, or Hawaii. So I love that. And a lot of those people in those areas, they are limited to where they are. So you expose them to other parts of the country. I think that's awesome. So there's a big myth that you need really deep pockets to start investing in real estate. What is your advice for someone who maybe just has a modest budget, but they want to start investing?
I mean, that is our client. Our clients are not the millionaires that are going and buying 10 properties at a time. Our investor, we are set up to cater to that first time investor. And we even offer certain warranties that help that transition, because we know it can be very scary. If this is your first property, what happens if, heaven forbid, you go in 6 months and now that tenant's in eviction? We have warranties to help make that transition for investors when they want to finally take that step into investing in real estate. Whew, I haven't finished my coffee yet. I kind of got tongue tied a little bit there. But yeah, so most of our clients are financing the properties. We also offer a forward commitment because we all know that interest rates have been very challenging over the last few years. So our company does what is called a forward commitment, where we bulk buy down interest rates. So if you purchase a property with Spartan Invest, you're going to be able to lock in a 5.5% interest rate,
Wow.
30 years. That's not an ARM. It's not a balloon, anything like that. That is your 30-year conventional finance option. So we're doing that because we have so many properties. We're able to do that in bulk and pass that along to our clients. And then having the warranties in place as well. We have a 1-year lease warranty. So if you do have that tenant that goes into eviction month 6, our property management company is going to pay for the attorney fees for that eviction. And then Spartan is going to pay your rent until we get that tenant out. Now, it's rare. We run a 2.3% eviction rate with our property management company. So it is rare that you're going to have it, but it does happen. And so we never want that first time investor to ever be deterred by your one-offs, your exceptions, not the rules. And so our average purchase price is $165,000. And since most of our clients finance the properties, you really only need 20% down to get that party started. That's about what you need. Now, always have a reserve. I would never want someone to empty a 401k and not have any kind of nest egg. You do want to have some kind of reserve in the bank, but partnering with a company that is going to check those boxes for you, and so you don't have to spend the time to be the expert. It's just going to help mitigate that risk a little bit.
Thank you for saying that about reserves, because there are so many newbies out there who will, like you just said, empty their bank account for a situation like this. So that just speaks volumes to your character as well, Lindsay, and running this company. So I really love that you said that. So can you walk us through a typical journey of a Spartan Invest client? And I'll start it off. So I just stepped into a bucket of cash, and I have $100,000. I'm putting that into my self-directed IRA because someone somewhere along the line told me I should put my money into a self-directed IRA. I'm going to back this up even more. I just quit a job that I had $100,000 $100,000 in a 401k. And then I transferred that to a self-directed IRA because someone said I can invest in real estate with a self-directed IRA. So I come to you, what are you going to suggest I do with that 100K from a self-directed IRA?
That's a really great question. And well, first off, once you come to us and say, hey, I'm interested, we do work with several specialized IRA. Just for the scenario, we work with several companies that will work with clients to
Did you
set
just say
up
specialized? Is that what you just said? Specialized IRA? The company?
Did I?
Is that Amanda Holbrook? Are we talking the same company?
Yes,
Okay.
I said the same thing. But yes, other IRA companies as well. Sorry about that.
Amanda's one of my
the company.
Amanda is one of my sisters. So Amanda and I
love Amanda. I have not seen her in a long time. She spoke at one of our conferences a few years back.
I'm sorry. And I have my Google thing over here and a picture of her is on there as we speak, as we just said. So that's why I was like, wait, what did you just say? So
sorry.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Now she'll love the shout out. But so you would get partnered with one of our sales representatives that's going to help you analyze all of the available deals. And so we've got our pro formas of our properties and where they are in various stages of the renovation, or if they're already rented, they're cash flowing, what that rent is, what the projected insurance, taxes are, what your management fee is, what's your first year cash flow and return going to be, what's your 5-year, what's your 10-year look like. They're going to walk you through all of those. They're going to walk you through the specific markets that those properties are in. So yes, we're out of Birmingham. We focus on the surrounding areas of Birmingham. Most of our properties are not in downtown Birmingham. They're in your Pleasant Grove, Hueytown, Adamsville, your areas where people are their affordability. They want a little bit more space. That's where your single family rentals tend to lie. So they're going to be able to talk to you about those areas and why those areas are good for rental properties, and then help you select what properties you're most comfortable with. Now, we also do new construction. And so we have build to rent properties available. So we do have some clients that want to diversify. You've got $100,000 you want to finance. They'll get you in touch with the lender that we use to buy down that rate to get the 5.5% and help you select the portfolio that you're going to be comfortable with. And it varies very much. We have some investors that say, I don't care if it's pink. I don't care if the property's pink as long as it cash flows. And then we have some investors that are like, you know what? I would love to own a ranch style brick, 3-2, you know what I mean? So it definitely varies. And so you're going to be able to work with our team to select those properties. If you are someone that wants to pay a little bit more, but have the comfort of the 1-year warranty with new construction, less maintenance in the foreseeable future, then we're going to pair you with some of those properties that are either in construction or that are already rented as well. So we'll walk through and select that. And then once you have your properties under contract, you get passed to our closing coordinator. And this, since our investors do not reside in Alabama, the vast majority do not, they're going to help you through the closing process, and that they're going to help the appraiser coordinate access to the property. They're going to help you schedule the home inspection. And we do third-party home inspections. This is not an in-house home inspection because we did the renovation. We don't want that liability. We want you to hire a home inspector so you can analyze, just like any deal you buy on the open market. You get a third-party home inspection, and then we'll go through it together. It's like, okay, well, looks like that, this and this showed up on the home inspection. We're going to take care of this for you, and we'll do a post-inspection repair addendum. Very similar to what you would if you were going to buy a house to live in. They're going to help you go through all of that, work with your closing attorney. So really, at the end of the day, your responsibilities are to make sure your lender has all of your financial information, and then make sure that that you have the date correct, and you're reviewing your home inspection. And that's really the only things that we want you worried about throughout that closing process. So we have somebody that walks you through that. And then once you're done, once you own your properties, then you get passed to our investor relations team, where you have someone that's going to onboard you to our property management company. They're going to schedule a video call with you, walk you through your investor portal. We use Appfolio as our platform software. And they're going to say, okay, if you want to see your overall statements, if you have any questions, if you want to see your maintenance bills or anything like that, they're going to walk you through that. And then they're going to give you monthly updates on how your property is performing as well. So they're going to be your point of contact post sale.
This is amazing. And I, as someone who, and by the way, I love a 3-2 brick ranch. That's like my go-to for rental properties. So it's so funny that you mentioned that, but all these ties between us. Excuse me. So for that same investor who is investing out of their self-directed IRA, I just wanted to make this point. All the profit that is coming in from this rental is going back into that self-directed IRA. So it's not going into your bank account.
Correct.
So that is a biggie for people who get the advice of opening up a self-directed IRA, which is very smart to do. And that's something where you had built that nest egg from a previous job. You've left it, you've moved on to a different one. So instead of transferring it to your new job, put it in that self-directed IRA. Call our friend Amanda and put it in there. Another shout out for Amanda. And then let that continue to grow on its own while you start building a new 401. Oh my goodness, if I can even say this right, 401k with your new company that you're working with. So also for someone who maybe a parent passes away, they have some money in the bank. That is another great way. Or someone who is having children and they have some money put aside that they want for college. This is a great thing to start with a rental fresh when that kid is an infant. Buy some rentals, and then when it comes time to have them go to college, you use the money from that to, your people can take out like a second mortgage later on while it's been paid off after 15, 16, 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Use that money, put it towards college, things like that. So it's such a great investment for people out there. And also with the volatility of the stock market right now, I just think it is so, so very smart. So I'm chomping at the bit I'm like, take my money, Lindsay. What do you do? But for the person who's out there listening and also feeling the same way, like, how can I get my money to Lindsay? What can you share a success story? Can you think of one of your clients that maybe is a great success story that they were able to maybe retire earlier or something of the sort?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have several success stories.
Do. Yes.
Yes, we do. And those are my favorites. And we do have those investors that have come across a bad time. And that's why we always advocate, hey, try to buy multiple, because if you only buy the one and something happens, then that's going to negatively impact, I think, your overall view. And just going back to what you said with the volatility in the stock market, and that is what is so secure about long-term rental, is that housing is a basic need. This will never go away.
Ever.
And so even if, and I get this question like, well, what if everything crashes, right? What if we go into another recession? What if it's another housing boom or housing crash like 07 to 09? Okay, people still need a place to live. Now, your rent may be a little bit lower. That may happen. You may have to drop your rent, but someone is always going to need a place to live. And as long as you have that property, you're going to be able to put a body in it and help you pay that mortgage. So that's one of the things. That's me and my husband, we're building our retirement with rental properties and supplementing college. I have a lot of investors that want, as soon as they have a kid, they take out a 15-year note, buy a property. And then when that kid's 15, that's their college fund. They'll sell it, and that's their college fund. But I would say my favorite investor is one investor that purchased with us very early on. She's phenomenal. She's been on our podcast and she's been a big advocate for us because she came in, her father passed away when she was very young and left her and her sister some land that she held on to, not really knowing what to do with it.
Right.
In 2015, she found us, sold the land, took all of the money, purchased 12 properties. and that was to be fair, like her average purchase price back then was, right, I think $95,000, right? So she bought. So never wait to buy real estate because it's always
Ever.
going to go up. Don't
Yes.
wait. Please don't. Because the market wasn't fantastic then, but man, look at it now. So
Right.
she was able to buy those properties. And then from that cash flow that she got in 3 to 4 years, she bought them all outright. She
Wow.
was able to save enough to quit her job and start her own freelance marketing company where she builds websites for clients, works on her own time. She gets to spend all of her time with her son because she makes her own hours. And that's my favorite success story because she got the financial freedom that we're all seeking, that we want. Now, not everybody may be in a situation to where they're able to buy 12 properties with cash. But if you're strategic, if you're like, I want to have a goal of 2 properties a year, that's mine and my husband's. We want to pay 1 off a year and buy 2 a year.
Nice.
And that's our goal. And so in 10 years, we're going to be on track to where I could walk away from Spartan. I'm not going to, but I could, so if you're setting those goals for you and allowing real estate to do what it does best, and that's appreciate and be consistent and reliable, then you're going to have multiple success stories. And yes, you're going to have hiccups. You're going to have hiccups along the way, but you will have a success story.
I love all of that, and good for her. And honestly, one of my brick ranches I did buy for $95,000, by the way. So that was.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, man. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. If I'd had the money then in 2015 and 16, man. Whew.
Yes, exactly. All right. So let's go to what a problem or a situation that out of that, I think you said 2% that it happens. So what are some like major repairs that have maybe taught you a valuable lesson, a sticky situation with a tenant? Give us like just a glimpse behind the curtain of a horrible situation that could happen with rentals, and just know that this is a teeny tiny part of it.
Right. And those are going to happen. So if we track every metric on our property management side: occupancy, maintenance ratios, turn times, average move out costs, AR, eviction rates. And that's our whole portfolio of about 2,100 properties. So when you're looking at that, you're going to hear the extreme examples that I might share, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want that. But please know that that's the exception. That's the 2.3% that are currently in eviction out of the 2,100. And if you're in that 2%, it hurts and it's everything. And we understand that and try to adhere to that. But know that the overwhelming majority of our tenants are paying on time and they're not trashing and wrecking the house. And I think that can be another misconception as well, is that, well, if I have tenants or if I have a Section 8 tenant, they're going to wreck the house. We have not been able to gain any kind of evidence that proves indefinitely that Section 8 versus open market, one's better than the other, et cetera, et cetera. People are just people. But you do have to be very wary of scams. And we have seen a lot of them. A lot of times people are scamming others by using our information. So they'll take our property pictures off of our website, post them on Facebook Marketplace, and say $500 security deposit, move in tomorrow. So somebody pays this individual $500, and then they never hear from them again. And they're saying they're using our name. So they come to us and say, well, I need my keys. I signed a lease. I'm ready to go. And it's not us. Of course, we post everything. We have the imprints on all of our pictures to try to avoid that. But the problem that we've seen a lot too is that people will print a lease, an Atlas rental property lease, or they'll make one and then move into a property. We've had this happen one time in North Alabama where they made a lease of ours and they were actually able to move in. Now, we've had people make fake documents all the time, but this is the only one that was able to move in and gain access to the property. So when we called the police because of a squatter, they were like, well, no, I have a signed lease. Well, it wasn't a signed lease by us. They forged one of our employees' names. They went on our website, forged an employee's name. And so we had to go through the entire eviction process because they had proper documentation. And those are just things that can happen. And if people know how to game the system, they're going to be able to use that, and you just have to be ready to move on it. Now, the 2.3% eviction, there's a million different reasons why, but something to also take into consideration is every tenant is one life event away from an eviction.
Right.
And you just need to be aware of that when purchasing rental properties. Whereas you and I, we may be several life events away from a potential eviction or foreclosure. There are those that are just that one life event away, and that's just part of owning real estate.
Right. Goodness gracious. And I mean, I know about scams. And in fact, if you're listening to this, go back a couple episodes and listen to Ellen Schmueli. And she went through a scam, and it was all about having that lease and in place. And there are protections for the tenant. And gosh, it's just so irritating. Oh my goodness. But again, listeners, don't freak out. It's only 2.3%. And when you're in a larger company like Spartan Invest, it's also, you have some protections in there kind of built in. So you could help in a situation like, okay, good.
Well, and like you said with Ellen, I mean, she was the one having to go to the courthouse. She was the one, it was a fake check, right? And so she was the one having to go to the courthouse and go with the sheriff and try to go to the bank. And so I guess the ease with which using a turnkey company is that we're doing all of that. We're working with the sheriff. We're making sure that your property gets out as much. You're not going to cash flow that month, but we're still handling it. Our property management company is set up to where if you don't make money, we don't make money. We don't bill a management fee if your tenant's not paying.
Nice.
So our incentives are aligned to get that tenant out as quickly as possible so we can make money as well.
And all the regulations, the laws. And Ellen, when she was going through that process, she had one home, it really wasn't a squatter, but it was a forged cashier's check, I think is what it was. But she had to learn what the laws were. So that even took her a little bit longer to get that person and go through the eviction process. So it's always great to have a management team like you all to help someone through that process. So thank you for tying those two stories together. So my last question here in the first part of the podcast, and this is kind of loaded because, it wouldn't be a podcast with Jen without loaded questions here, but how do you see the turnkey investment landscape evolving over the next few years? Because like I said at the start, it is hot, hot, hot right now. But where do you see it in 5, 10, 15 years from now?
I think that's a really great question. That's a loaded question in that, hey, where do we see our business going in 5, 10, 15 years? I definitely see a shift away from older properties and more on the new construction. With inventory shortages, we're going to have to pivot and be able to offer denser housing. That's an issue in the Southeast. That's an issue in our state, Alabama, primarily because we're very old school. So there's a lot of municipalities out there that are pushing regulations against multifamily duplexes, quadplexes. And unfortunately, it's going to take some housing issues and more housing shortages, inflationary problems for the state to get more on board with allowing contractors and home builders to build more multifamily. So I foresee that being a potential issue in the Southeast, and I'm focusing primarily on the single family. But I do see a trend where more and more people are going to opt for new construction rentals. Every evidence shows that we are moving more towards a renter nation, and the percentage of home occupancy has declined over the last couple of years. So we're going to continue, unless something drastically changes, we're going to continue down that path, and where more and more people are going to opt to rent. Now, at first it started with the millennial generation because they lived through the 08, 09 and made the decision not to purchase a property. Right. And now we're at a point where properties are so unaffordable to where they have no choice but to opt to rent. So, like I said, unless something drastically changes, I see more of a need and demand for rentals in the near future, but also in the turnkey space, more of a new construction demand.
Well, I know I said that was my last question, but that brought up more questions in my brain. So let me just, so I really have two more questions.
Yeah, go for it. Yes, please.
So I didn't even ask this, and you're bringing up a good point. So you are having your clients purchase single family homes. What if they do want to purchase a quad or say like a 10 or 12 unit, crossing the line, going into more commercial? Is that something that you would also manage and go through with them as well for turnkey investments here?
So that is not something that we would purchase and renovate, but we do take on the management. We would. So if you did have a 10 unit, now we do offer duplexes that are through Spartan Invest. The highest we'll go is quad.
Okay.
And our new construction company is building townhomes and duplexes as well as single family. So we're trying to offer a little bit more variety. We want our investors to be able to diversify between, we're going to always offer all of them because there's going to be those investors that, hey, my price point is at 140,000. So they're still going to be able to need to purchase that property that was built in the 50s and 60s. And
Gotcha.
that's fine. That's great. We're doing heavy renovations on the front end to try to mitigate those future maintenance risks. But being able to purchase in several different states, being able to purchase new construction with a renovated property. And so you get the benefits and the risk with both of those products. But yeah, we do offer up to quad, and we have a couple of properties that have ADUs. So it's a mix, but we don't tend to the hard multifamily where you're over 4 doors. That's really not in our purview, but we would manage that.
Okay. Southern Virginia. I got a 12 unit that I'm trying. It's driving me crazy. All right. So now my final question, I promise this is my last question for the first part of the podcast here, is you mentioned the municipalities not wanting to build the duplexes, quads, triplexes. I said that out of order, but what's the reasoning behind that? I'm just curious. I'm about to purchase 6, we'll just call them lots, and we're going to build duplexes on them to keep as rental properties. But I'm curious why, because even the city, or the town, it's not a city, it's a town, they gave me a little pushback on it as well. So what's the reasoning behind that? I would think it's offering more affordable housing in an area, but anyway, solve this mystery for me, please, Lindsay.
If I could solve it, I think I would be building a lot more duplexes, honestly. I really wish I knew, because there is a housing shortages.
Yes.
There is a housing shortage, and but I think that it's just more of an old school mentality towards, hey, we don't want dense housing. We don't want sky-rise apartment complexes going in rural Alabama. And it's outdated in concepts, but it's also small municipalities being governed by city councils that have varying opinions on what is actually best for the city. And from where you and I stand, it makes complete sense that, hey, why wouldn't you want to bring more people into your city, gain more property taxes, be able to create affordable housing? That there's, especially on the new construction side,
right,
is what's baffling. It's like, don't you want brand new affordable areas for people to be able to move into? It checks all of those boxes. So why some municipalities are fighting against your more dense housing, I'm not 100% sure. Now, it is a lot more landlord friendly in the Southeast. And I know you have talked about that, and that there are states that are tenant friendly versus landlord friendly. And Alabama remains, as well as Georgia and Tennessee. It's why they're hot markets. It remains extremely landlord friendly, and that you're able, if you do have a non-paying tenant, you're able to regain possession relatively quickly compared to other states. But still, I think it's just a little bit outdated mentality. And again, that's going to change over future generations. Just right now, it's something that we're combating.
I would have to agree with that, because from what I'm dealing with right now, that would make a lot of sense of the old school mentality. So, yes. Lindsay, this was just such amazing information. What a great concept. And to then do truly turnkey properties for people and get that, like I said, my favorite term, mailbox money, because there's gurus out there who say, get rich quick. And we're discussing that as well. And that is just simply not true. If you are buying the rentals yourself, managing them yourself, it is never just mailbox money. It is not passive at all. And people think it is. So thank you for bringing this. I have not interviewed anyone like you who already has this set up. I'm working with someone new these days that I will make a big announcement shortly, but there is a similar one, but we're still educating people on how to do the management side of things and the flipping the burr part of it. So interesting. Lindsay, great
Thank you
job.
so much.
What a great
Thank you.
company.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
You.
So we are going to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Lindsay Davis a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I'm going to move away from the real estate book. Yes, I am a real estate investor and I run a real estate investment company, but I primarily see my role is pushing the Spartan Invest and our culture and building our culture, but leading the team and leading the company. And I have 3 companies with dozens of employees. And so I feel like my primary role is to lead them. And my favorite book that probably had the most impact, this one's hard. I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. I would probably say, but though my favorite one of his is the Starts With Why. And if you've ever listened to his TED Talk discussing the starts with why, but it's really just kind of finding your reasoning. And it can tie into real estate investing. And before you ever step foot into investing in anything, ask yourself why. What is the reason? Finding your reasons. Is it to quit your job tomorrow? Because if that's your question, then please do not buy a long-term rental property and quit. Don't do that, please. But he talks more of it from a company standpoint and how companies can set themselves apart from others by finding out what their core purpose is. And I love Simon Sinek. He's got such great classes out there, books. I'm a big fan of his.
I'm going to have to check that out because that is right up my alley. I love all of that. I know my why. I know, all that. And what's funny is my husband, I was just asking him, I was filling out this questionnaire for something. And I said, what is your answer to this? And the question was, if you did not have to worry about money, what would you focus on? He could not answer that question. I'm like, boom, I am going to be traveling the US and Canada in my RV named Artie. I already know the name of the RV I will be driving with our 2 dogs. And we're definitely heading straight to Lake Louise first. Like that, I know. And so it's funny how some people cannot even, they aren't visionaries. They can't think, well, all I think about is money. He is an accountant, so maybe that is true.
And it drives. If you know your why, and so if your why is you want to get arty and travel the world, then you have to get so many rental properties. You have to reach
20 a year.
Number. And so knowing that why is what's going to be able to drive you to meet your goal. But you do have to act. You can't just know your why and sit on it, though. Yes. So you do have to take action.
Absolutely. Thank you. Lindsay, I didn't think I could like you anymore. We are going to be besties after this interview. All right.
I love it.
The first A in badass is for advice. You've given us some great advice on this episode, but what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So when we were first starting out, we've been doing turnkey real estate. We've been doing real estate in Birmingham since 2010, but really shifted more towards the turnkey model in 2012 and 13. Birmingham, Alabama, and in Huntsville were not great markets. People were not buying rental properties here. Now, locals owned rental properties. That's been a thing for centuries. Everyone has always purchased and rented out properties. But the turnkey concept or outside investors looking into Birmingham had a very negative rap. And there hadn't been a lot of investment in infrastructure in the downtown. There hasn't been a big push. And it was pretty rough for our market. Now we knew the numbers, like, hey, looking at a property, like, oh my gosh, this property, I'm able to rent it for this and I can sell it for this and it's going to cash flow positive. This is something. And
Right.
this is something that we can offer. And I'll never forget. So I was taking a tour. I was giving an investor a tour, very strategic on like, hey, we're going to show you everything. We're going to show you why we love Birmingham. And when we first started out, we would have to fly investors on our own dime out to Birmingham to show them around, to change the narrative. And I was talking to one investor as I was touring him around, and I was telling him everything like that. And I said the same thing. I was like, Birmingham has just a bad rap. There's a lot of negative connotation that comes with Birmingham and Alabama in general. And he looked at me, he said, well, you got to fake it till you make it. And I was like, yeah, you kind of do, I guess. So that kind of always stuck with me, is that, hey, if you see it, you've got to keep pushing. And I'm not saying you need to fake numbers or anything like that, but it's hey, it would have been easy to be like, well, nobody's gonna want to invest in Alabama. Nobody want. And now Birmingham and Huntsville are easily one of the top repeated markets to invest in when it comes to rental properties. And our early on investors have seen great appreciation. So that one's just kind of always stuck with me.
Very good. I did not think it was going to lead to fake it till you make it. I love how you are so great at this interview because you have stories behind it. So thank you for that. I'm loving this. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Yeah, I think some people are just naturally, I have always said that I'm a very high anxiety, no chill person, and that I don't have kind of an off switch. I wish I did. I really do. So I've always had that kind of inner go. But I would say now what my biggest driving force is, it's got to be my family and my children. I've got 3 amazing kids. Woo! And being able to do what I do and share a lot of that with them and even take them to properties. My oldest just graduated from high school and he is currently interning with our new construction company. So I love coming home, and he was telling me yesterday he was working with our HVAC team and he was crawling in attics, and I'm a believer in hard work ethic. And so he was like, gosh, it's so hot in attics. Oh my, it's terrible. He wants to learn. He sees where the possibilities are of owning your own business and doing what I do. And so that is just such a big driver for me. I think that's replaced previous just insane go to, hey, this is, I'm going to be able to pass this on to my kids, and they're going to understand, one, that you do have to work hard. You're going to have to start at the very, very bottom to really appreciate it. But being able to give that to them, it's just my biggest driver right now.
And again, speaks so much to your character, Lindsay, because there are people who get in that their why is they want to create a legacy for their family and they want to set it up and just hand it to their kids. But you are making him work for it, and it's only going to make him better at owning these properties, going through the stages himself instead of it being just handed to him. So, Lindsay, girl, you are awesome.
Well, I'm telling you, you're never going to appreciate an HVAC technician and what they do if you haven't been in an attic in Alabama. I mean,
so well said. Yes, agreed. And see, I don't do crawl spaces, so I feel like that's where they hide the dead bodies. So that's in the cobwebs. I won't go down there. All right. But I'm impressed he was crawling in the attic. All right. So the second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
This is my favorite thing that we're doing right now as a company. And I'm sure it's been a pretty big topic of conversation in the real estate and construction industry, is just the lack of trades that we are seeing, and that a lot of people are retiring out of being electricians and plumbers. And it's a very big need, and it's a hole. And not every young person is destined to go to college, and that's okay. And we started it at the end of last year. So from August to December, and then now January to now, we have been partnering with local high schools in more rural, rougher areas and offering interns to come work with our maintenance and move out teams. So we're having kids come in, and we've got 9 interns that are working with us full time over the summer, and teaching them just the basic trades. And we're not getting in, we're not teaching electrical or plumbing and deep, but so many no, they don't know how to repair sheetrock, lay tile, paint. So those basic home repair things, they're working with our team and gaining those skill sets. And then we've started with with two other schools donating our excess materials so they can start teaching it in their workshops as well. And so we're trying to go ahead and build our own kind of base of people, so we know that we have those jobs secured in the future, so we can hire those people on and pass that cost savings on to our investors, but also give younger kids a trade. And one of the schools that we are partnering with, I want to say it was 96-97% of their kids don't seek any additional trade or college education after they graduate high school.
Wow.
And so they were just over the moon that companies like us want to invest into their graduates and give them some skills that are going to allow them to be successful. So that is by far been my favorite thing that we've started working on, and it's still relatively new. This is our first summer with full-time interns, but it's been very, very successful. And of course, you've got a team of maintenance techs managing some high schoolers, so there's some problems with it too, but the team has just been phenomenal with working with them.
That is amazing. I'm a former school teacher, so I love every aspect of that. And when you can't find subcontractors, you are creating them, and that is genius. So amazing. Oh my goodness. All right. You're such a badass. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
That's a really, and I'd say in the badass acronym, that is the one that is tripping me the most, because we have so many different systems in place, and that I'm a very metric driven person. I want to track everything, probably to a fault. I can get paralysis by analysis sometimes, and that I want to know all of the data, but knowing all of that information allows us to know where we pivot. I'd probably say the one I didn't talk about that I think is good for your listeners to know as far as systems go is our system for renovating properties. So we have our 3 M's within the company. And so it's the 3 M's before we do any kind of renovation, we're checking the boxes on what renovations we're going to do. So will a tenant pay more? Is it a safety must? Or will it lower the long-term maintenance of the property? And that is our system. That's our criteria for what we're going to do to the house. So if we always replace water heaters, if the HVAC is older than 5 years, we replace it. If the roof is older than 5 years, we replace it.
Wow.
If we make sure that all the electrical boxes, they're 200 amp, those type things we're doing as much as possible on the front end to try to keep that long-term maintenance down, but also meet the criteria of, hey, like, is a tenant going to pay more for this? Are we going to be able to increase the rent for our investors by doing this particular repair? So that's probably the best system I can say. I could talk all day about system and processes. That's my bread and butter, but that's the one that I can think of right now that I think I didn't get to touch on.
That is a great system and very easy to follow as well, but just by simplifying it in that fashion. So, all right, I could talk to you all day, Lindsay.
I love this. This is great.
But the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Lindsay Davis?
Like I said, my biggest driver are my kids, and success to me in my hierarchy of importance, it's my family, and then it's my employees. So success to me looks like being able to spend as much time with them as possible. There are times where I have to work late. It's just part of it. It's just I'm very fortunate in that my husband is able to stay at home and help and take them to soccer practices and baseball practices.
Addicts.
Those things, addicts, take them to dropping them on, making them work. That success to me is making sure that I don't ever have to miss my son's baseball games, and that I can at least drop them off or pick them up every day. I'm usually the drop off and my husband's the pickup because school ends at 2:30. So I'm usually the drop off, but that is what success looks like to me on the family side. And then on the company side, it's the growth and employee development and company culture that is what I think of success. It's not necessarily the profit dollars. And yes, we're not a nonprofit. We have to make money, but it's really the culture that we build here at Spartan and at Atlas is what I think sets us apart. And that's what success looks like to me.
Absolutely set you apart, because I have interviewed hundreds of people, and this is just such a well put together system for people who have money that want to get into real estate but don't know where to start, and it's very hands off for them, which is lovely. So Lindsay, thank you so very much for being on the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast today. You are truly a badass, and this has been such a great interview. I appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Jen, for having me. I love your show. You're doing great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.